Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's all about the agenda for Boris Johnson. And of course, to know if Brexit is in sight soon, possibly because he's talking so tough with me here in the studio to do the analysis on this particular discourse is a clergyman, but on this platform, he's a political analyst, both local and international politics. He's well-grounded. Join me to welcome Reverend Humphrey Arega. Welcome to the show, sir.
My pleasure.
I appreciate your coming.
Thank you. Very good afternoon, everyone.
All right, here we are. After much ado, we get to see Theresa May stepping down because she couldn't deliver on a promise of Brexit, and immediately an election was conducted. A few months later, we have a man as a prime minister. Well, Theresa May tendered a resignation by giving it to the Queen, and the Queen also accepted the, how will I put it now, the new Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. And this man hits the ground running without wasting time. Let's start off from the person of Boris Johnson. Some of the opinion that he's like a man that will come and be like another Donald Trump, while some are taking it like a mixed grill. It may be good for some sect and bad for the other sect. That may be the right man to really deliver when talking about Brexit. The man Boris Johnson.
Well, the man Boris Johnson is said to be a man of tenacity, a man of his own vision. He may not be liked by many, but he certainly has some measure of charisma. Looking at the biography of him some days ago, he didn't start being becoming the prime minister when he became a legislator. He had that vision and ambition right from youth, right from his school days. He has always said he wants. First of all, he said he wanted to become sort of the king of Britain, but unfortunately, he didn't come from the lineage of Britain. So he left and said he wanted to become the prime minister. So he has been on it, and that for me shows that a man who has a vision and a goal and persistence in it will arrive at his destination. Whether the destination is going to be good for people or not is a different ballgame. Yeah. But looking at the issue of Brexit, which we're talking about, don't forget that Boris Johnson was one of the major proponents of Brexit. So it is not news. It is not new that he didn't waste time. He already had a lot of things he wanted to do from the beginning. Don't forget he contested with Theresa May. Yeah. But just that people didn't like so much of his arrogance. People didn't like so much of his loud-mouthed talk. The British people needed a person who can bring together all the elements of Britain to be able to arrive at the Brexit they thought. Again, I'm glad on one side that he has come to be prime minister so as to do the thing he has packaged. You know, sometimes it's difficult for you to interpret the message you didn't encode. Okay, he is one of those who encoded the message, but he unfortunately did not take cognizance of the diversities of the United Kingdom. Scotland is, the Scottish environment is not part of what he's saying. The island has that problem. So he needs to be able to bring all those people together. His language is not reconciliatory. You know, sometimes people believe that they can bulldoze their way through. They can impose themselves on people and issues, and other people just back away and say, look, have your way. I got a little bit worried because I thought that he would come into the parliament and first of all build a consensus before making very, what you might call definitive statements on the fact that come what may, on the 30th of October, or 31st of October, Britain will leave, whether there is agreement or not. And one of the reasons why there have been much problems is that each day as the discussion of Brexit goes, people are getting more confused. When the issue of Brexit was made public, people were not very interested in details. And this is what politics has come to do in the world. You package a message without allowing the persons to understand the ingredients that make that package. And you polished it with a public relations mindset. And people just, because again, the individuals get so dissatisfied with some things, any other thing is an option. They are dissatisfied with the economic situation and political situation in Britain, and any other alternative that is different from the normal, from the bureaucratic normal, is accepted. And that's what the issue of Brexit, just like you had in America. Anything that has to do with establishment, the people felt was against their interests. So they needed somebody from outside of the establishment, and they brought in Donald Trump. Donald Trump has also said, this is Boris Trump.
Boris Trump.
That's his word. And you know, from beginning, even when Theresa May was still in power, Donald Trump has always praised Boris Johnson as against Theresa May. Because he is not a man who goes through process. He's not a man who goes through discussion. Politics is supposed to be a give and take. You have a lot of diplomacy that enables you to explain issues and get people's actions and attention and agree with your point, or disagree and have a middle way. That's not what is happening now, you know. And if you look at those, again, Theresa May didn't vote to leave EU. She voted to stay with the EU. But he was in the Conservative, and unfortunately, he decided to allow herself to say, let's drive this issue. You cannot even put a flesh to what you didn't have understanding about. So that was our problem. Now we're talking about Britain, we're saying, is going to crash out. It's not a crash, it's not a leaving. European unions have also said, we're not going to reopen the issue because they are looking at the other 27 nations. Some of the nations are on the wings. Let's see what happens to Britain. If Britain can be pampered to leave, then we also can have a feel of it. And EU is not ready for that. They want to be sure that anybody who wants to leave pay a price. And they want to use Britain as big and as important as Britain is. If he leaves EU, we as 27 others will let him know that no one is bigger than the whole. And this is where it's going to happen. So Britain is going to have a dislocation. But it depends on how there is a management. Unfortunately, I don't think Boris Johnson is going to be able to manage the fragile parliament. The parliament is just, there are only two majority. Two is what separates them between them and the opposition. And so if you want to pass any resolution, you need more than that. So if he's not going to be, if he doesn't show himself as a good statesman who is able to manage, then we are going to see very snap elections soon. And the crashing out of Britain from the UK, so we are going to be renegotiating. Like somebody said, when you leave the EU is a market. You are going to trade with them. So you are going to come back to ask them, please can I trade with you? And they are going to give you their terms. They may not be as favorable as when you are a member. So it's going to be difficult for Britain to be what it is now. But because of the state of their economy and the long state of stability, they might be able to wither it for a longer stay. Unlike if it was a turbulent nation. So it's going to be a misgrill.
Misgrill. Now you talked about the nature of Boris Johnson in the liking to be Boris Trump, so to speak. Now with his nature, he came forcefully. He even talked about crashing out. And of course that didn't go down too well with the EU.
Yes.
What do you think will come out of this situation? Do you see a crashing out, or there should be a negotiation, so to speak, a give and take like what you just suggested?
No, is it crashing out or going the way that many people reason? It's going to be based on how Boris Johnson plays the game. It's not on the EU's part, because there's already an agreement signed between the EU and Britain. You cannot just come and say, no, I don't like this. Let's negotiate. No, you need to be able to convince them how and why. And Boris Johnson doesn't seem to have that temperament.
His temperament now an issue in this whole matter?
Yes. You see, when you are talking to people, they hear your voice, and they look at your face. Two things, the two must correlate. So his language is very, just like I said, just like what Trump has done to the world. They have dislocated America from every other country or agreement. And today, America is almost an isolated environment. And Britain do not have the strength like America have to follow that path for too long. That's what they should understand. They may be the 5th strongest economy in the world, 5th. But you have those who are 1st, 2nd, 3rd, who are looking to poach on Britain itself. America will be wanting to have Britain, who have been an ally, to be the only close ally. And Russia is coming from the other side. Chinese is coming from the other side. India is coming from the other side. So Britain is going to ask, how am I able to juggle these big four together to be able to have the best of things? Because if you have the best of America, it is over, you might not have the best of China. And you may not have the best of Russia. So these are issues that he needs to, with a level head. Unfortunately, he has assembled together a team of persons whose only agenda is to leave Brexit without an agreement. Because as far as they're concerned, they think they have been cheated. It's just like what Donald Trump is always saying, oh, we are cheated in this, we are cheated in this. People have robbed us. You ask yourself, nobody was sleeping when these were signed. America was not a small nation that would have been frightened by the other nations to sign an agreement. Most of the time, they draft these agreements. You know, but because you may not like the person who drafted the agreement, you give all sorts of bad names and things for people, and then you divide it. Britain is now a divided nation.
Now, talking about Britain being divided, is it the Boris Johnson factor or the Conservative? Because for what you said, it's just two in a house that gave Boris Johnson and his party an edge. Is it a division in ideology or a division in the pursuit of Brexit?
It's both. In the Conservative Party today, they're not a united force. You have those who are called the hardcore Presbyterians, who believe that Britain must leave. There are others of the liberal conservatives who believe that Britain must not leave the EU without an agreement beneficial. And these two have not agreed. That's why it was difficult for Theresa May to achieve her aim, because these two were always fighting. Boris Johnson represented and was head of the radical right. And you have, so he's still there. Unfortunately, they also have the Irish Independent Party, who is also part of the only reason why they have an upper hand, who also do not agree with the Boris Johnson attitude. Then you have the Labour Party. So there is a very diverse understanding, and it also has affected the society itself, because those who want to stay in the EU, especially the elderly people who are comfortable with the arrangement, are still there. The younger generation that feel, though, they needed a different experiment are those who sided with Boris Johnson. They are still on that side. Today, they are divided as that. It's a divided line. So even when you take census of how the parameter of the environment, the mood, is still divided. So you will need someone who is able to redirect the map and give a major group to one side of the talk.
And so you, Boris Johnson is not that man.
Boris Johnson is just like America, that Donald Trump has not been able to increase his base. These are some of the things. So they are not those who consult, they dislocate. You know, when you dislocate, people have, when you go to Parliament, there are persons who have been there for many years, who look reason from the foundation of issues. And when you don't take them into cognizance, you believe that people of your generation, who are computer generated in their thoughts, they're the ones you want to use, you are going to have a problem. And so that's what it is. So until there is an election, and which we may be very sure that people are predicting, to be able to redefine the base of the parliament to have a majority of a thought, Britain will be in troubled waters.
Now, you're talking about Parliament. Do you see the same problem that bedeviled Theresa May, bedeviling Boris Johnson, division in the House?
Yes, because the Parliament was able to bring the issue of Brexit to them. Before, it was the executive who has the authority to negotiate. But the Parliament have said, no, we represent the people. And during May's time, the Parliament was able to wrest that power, which is now residing in the House. So before you leave the House, it must, your thought and others must be brought to the Parliament. What you are reasoning with the EU must be brought to the Parliament to approve before it can be done. So that problem exists, and he's going to compound the issue.
All right, now, from the very first week Boris Johnson stepped into power, becoming the Prime Minister, he made a move that didn't go down too well with the EU, and of course the EU reacted. Yes. The crash of the dollar, well, I say the dipping of the pound, so to speak, is that the outcome of his first action as a Prime Minister?
Yes, you see, businesses, when politicians talk, they forget that it is the business environments that stabilizes the polity. And once the business environment does not feel comfortable with the political atmosphere, there's bound to be jittery. Many big businesses are saying, look, we are not too comfortable with the way and manner the Brexit issue is being talked about. Some of them are talking of relocating. And once you dislocate that business environment, of course, there's going to be mass unemployment. And that affects the polity, because people get angry with the fact that your policies have dislocated their family. If one man loses a job, you're going to have about 10, 20 persons who are affected. So the population of the unemployed and the downward drive of the economy is going to have effect. You remember, even when, before Theresa May left, when there was this issue, but led to a postponement of that, people already stockpiling, especially the medical environment, because they're going to be, before you do that, if they don't, there's going to be skyrocketing of prices and all of that. So,
talking about inflation right now, is that the aftermath?
Yes, that's the aftermath. There is a speculation already, because once you crash out, there's nothing to guarantee that you can have benefit from the EU membership. Taxes will be imposed, and the flow of goods will be hampered. And so these are some of there's going to be a dislocation. Like I said, before you now begin to, because most of the workers and most of the things you use in Britain are not made in Britain. Some of them are made in most of the European countries and other countries. So when they shut their doors and look, because if I don't have an agreement with you, we need to negotiate. Before the negotiation is concluded, a lot of issues have to be taken care of. So there's a lot of tension. And when there is tension in the market, that's why you find out the pound is taking a hit.
Wow. The pound's taking a hit, setting an agenda for Boris Johnson, possibility of a Brexit in sight. That is what we are talking about this afternoon on International Forum. If memory serves us correctly, Boris Johnson has been in the forefront of a Brexit, but then his method wasn't put on the table. It wasn't that clear. What he told the UK is that if he becomes Prime Minister, Brexit is a possibility, 100% sure. And this time around, from the way he's going about it, the EU are somewhat frowning at his method. Now let's take a look at his methodology. It's like majority of members in his party, they are not in tune or in line with the method he's using. So how is it going to work?
You see, that's the issue we're talking about. He needs to, first of all, unite his party 100% to enable him move ahead. But he doesn't seem to believe that he needs their support. And that's what is going to affect him. Again, I keep comparing what's going to happen in Britain as what's happening in America. You can see how divided the Republican Party is, even though in most of the cases they try to side with the president. But within themselves, there is no unanimity of thought, because the president believes that he is the one who must steer the ship, is the one who must give orders, and others must obey. But you forget that you are not just your own, you are representing the people. And unlike in Nigeria or Africa, where parliamentarians don't visit their home constituency to seek thoughts about what they should do, in Britain it's not like that. You need to go back to your constituency, they need to tell you what their mind is, and you represent them over there. If not, they will call you. It's straight away. And Boris Johnson seems to, we need to understand that if these persons do not, and that's why there's the fear that election will hold very shortly. Theresa May tried it because he felt he needed a majority to be able to talk on some of the things, and he failed. She failed woefully, and that's why they are where they are. But Boris Johnson is even taking a more hardline approach that's going to infuriate a lot of persons. And you're talking, Scottish people are already saying, we're not even talking of Brexit, we're talking of our own independence. We want a second referendum. They did a referendum before that didn't favor them. But when Brexit came, they voted to stay in Europe. So if there's going to be a second referendum, Scotland will be out of the United Kingdom. And so there's these people are talking. Do we want to fragment Britain? It's not just leaving the EU now. How does it affect United Kingdom as an entity? Because people are not happy, and Boris Johnson is not making good for people to even be happy to stay. That's some of the things. So, because he is saying, whether we like it or you don't like it, we must leave EU. Scotland has benefits. Ireland has benefits from the European Union because of their proximity, their economic base are intertwined. And once you dislocate that, you see, you're going to have a population that is angry. And once the population is angry, they can do anything. You look at what is happening in Hong Kong, for instance. You may think, oh, that's a different matter. But young people are very restless, okay? Because once you leave EU, the benefits that accrue from the fact that you are able to trade, those days anybody can move from anywhere. People from UK can move to Paris, they can move to Germany and get jobs easily. But now it's not going to be like that. So you are cutting off a lot of persons who would have loved to be part of what is going on everywhere. You know, and so these are some of the things. The parliament also have that understanding. And that's why I say, look, let us tread softly. We must not hurry out. Let us be able to discuss, because it takes discussion, understanding to arrive at a position of benefit to all. And people are saying, look, give me time to process. What you are saying to us doesn't make too much sense to us. Give us time to have a discussion. You are saying, no, we must do it now. You might say, okay, if you want to do it now, have your way, but that's not part of us. So EU is not going to be stampeded. You see, you are co-equals. You may be bigger in economy, you may be bigger in size, but when it comes to independence of nations, everybody is safeguarding his own nation. We are all equal. Well, whether you are Poland, whether you are Czechoslovakia, whether you are Britain, you are all equal. So when you are talking to us, talk to us with respect.
Respect. So it's all about respect now.
It's all about respect and understanding. So,
now, does it mean that UK being part of the EU ab initio was a huge mistake?
No, it wasn't. Britain is one of those who crafted the founding father of European Union. They were the crafters of NATO. They were those who crafted it. So it was because of what they saw, especially with the threats. See, don't forget that there is this Cold War between Eastern Europeans and the Western Europeans, East European led by Russia and others. So there have been this Cold War, which is still existing. Russia wants to gain back all those countries who were part of their
Union, Soviet Union,
who have gone to European Union. They want to recolonize them. And so there's a lot of that Cold War. So it is Britain who was in the forefront of this. So when it's like you building a house and suddenly you leave, you say your house is not good.
No.
So you have to ask yourself the question, do you really understand what you built? And we've known that European as a continent have been the biggest market in the world. Apart from America, they're also the biggest power as a combined effort. To be able to contain Russia, you need European as a combined community. You see, and Britain do not have all that it takes. You know, again, you also know that even in Britain itself, the military base in Britain is in Ireland and Scotland. So if there is a fragmentation of UK, the remaining part of UK may be a puppet. So that's why people are saying, look, let's tread softly, because those others components, until we guarantee them and we are sure that we all have one thought, it may be difficult for us. Just like Ireland, the Ireland said, Ireland is a member of the EU with Irish and others. They have borders. And they commute together. You know, it's like what we're having in Nigeria. The north, for instance, the northern border between Nigeria and Chad, you can easily separate it. That's why when they come, you don't know who is who. That's how Irish and Ireland are. So when people are, when a man is talking from London City, he is not taking into cognizance the mindset of those in the suburbs. And they don't tell you, look, we also have life. Because we feed, it's like what happened in Spain. When Barcelona, you see, every nation in this earth have both the weak and the strong. And if the strong does not take cognizance of the weak, you may be very surprised that that weak nation is your strength.
Very surprised that the weak nation is your strength. Now, we just can't talk about Boris Johnson without talking about Donald Trump factor. The Trump factor. Is it a factor that one should jettison in this discourse, or Donald Trump may just be the one to deliver Brexit to the UK?
You see, I'm not sure Donald Trump can deliver Brexit to UK. He has seen himself as a disruptor in the system. He wants to disrupt, because he came in, the first thing he did was to berate NATO. And so he has not been comfortable with European Union as a group. And so he's seeing in Boris Johnson the ability to dislocate that environment. Again, people say, well, it is something that he is doing to benefit Russia. And one cannot remove that factor because he has become a friend to Russia.
Could you please throw more light on that? Yeah. Benefiting Russia in what terms?
He has always been praising Russia. Even when you talk about Russia meddling into the elections in America, he has told you it's not true. He believed, and he said it on there, he believed more in Russia, in the Russian president, than in his officers. He has said whatever the FBI order says are not correct, but whatever Boris Johnson says is correct. And we see. You saw what happened in Syria. Immediately he came in, he withdrew part of the gains that the Free Army of Russia, of Syria, who were against the president of Syria. Yeah. And Russia gained entrance. And today, Russia is dominating. The Americans are quiet, a little bit quiet. So yeah, some of the things. You saw what happened. Whatever nations that Russia has had some influence, America have a little bit withdrawn. And that is because of the cozy relationship between the President of America and the President of other countries, especially those who are not democratically operating in the environment. So he looks at that. He doesn't see, again, it's because of his own lifestyle. He is not a man who processes. He's not a man who believes in combined thoughts. He's a man who gives order. So, and that's why he said Theresa May was a weak leader. He has been praising Boris Johnson, who is always talking, well, let's see what happens. These are some of the things we look at. At the end of the day, his actions and attitude have benefited Russia more than the allied forces that would have been with America.
Now, if this thing should go through, or there is a kind of a squabble in all these situations, where does NATO stand in all this?
NATO has agreement. If Britain leaves EU, well, the institution of the European Union is different from the NATO alliance.
Yeah.
If they are still in NATO alliance, NATO has its own alliance, and that will still go on. But I know that Britain will not leave NATO. Whether even if they leave EU, the NATO alliance will be there, because the defense pact is also more beneficial. Is also beneficial to Britain. No one nation. Russia is at the doormat of the countries that are close to Britain. So you cannot afford to distance yourself and think that you are an island. No. So I don't see any of the facts that will make Britain to leave NATO.
So that is like a done deal, so to speak.
Yes.
All right. Now let's come back again to Brexit. A time frame was given for Brexit to really come into fruition. Theresa May did her best possible. It wasn't feasible. But with the man, Boris, do you see them beating that time frame?
No, he has told you. Is it the time frame?
Now,
like Theresa May
with
was
all
given,
the situation on the ground right now.
No, he has made a statement, and that's exactly what he's going to have a problem with until the parliament does otherwise. But they have said October 31st, everybody goes. If you don't have an alternative, it means that you are living without a deal. If you want to deal with EU membership, you come again to deal with them individually, not again as a unit. Okay? And that's exactly why some British people are angry, because in negotiating individual country agreements, it's much more difficult than negotiating with a combined unit. Combined unit. You know, because there are set rules. You don't go there individually, you go to the European Union Parliament and discuss, and that's on. But if you leave now, you are going to be dealing with individual nations as per their own understanding. You know, it's not every country in Europe that is very friendly with Britain in the first place because of their background, because of the things they do. So these are issues that Boris Johnson needs to take to heart in dealing with the thing, so that he doesn't behave, and he wants to do that. He cannot have the same environment or power will to do what American president is doing. Wow. If he thinks that he's going to copy from there, Britain is not America.
All right, now let's play this picture. What if December, or well, let's say October 31st, come to the picture and Britain was able to live without a deal? Who stands to gain and who stands to lose?
Both will lose. Nobody is going to gain anything. You know, this is the problem. America may think they will gain, but you still have to go and do negotiations. Negotiations with them with the fact that there are interplays of what you want to do. Britain will not want to be swallowed by America. For them not to be able to deal with China, with Russia, with India, and other things. So these are some of the things. There are a lot of complications which they may not see now. America wants to pocket Britain in his own. You might find that America, they may just be like what Canada is. You know that since Trump came, there's a trocadero between Canada and America. Yeah,
Justin Trudeau's like, you know, having a free day, saying he wants to do his own thing. Yes. Trump also on his own part.
And that's what the British people are going to be talking about, because not every person in Britain embraces the American style. Most of the politicians don't even like the American president. So it's going to be heated up in the parliament, and that's going to be, it's just like, you might find out that it will be like what the Democrats and the Republicans are in the American politics. You know, that's what Britain and America might be in issues, and that's why there's going to be an election, because like that, like the Labour is already.
You keep talking about this election, yes. But they're not talking about it yet. They don't want this man to hit the ground running, for this man to work.
They want it to work. But the Brexit issue, the date from here to October is not far.
It's not far.
Okay? And they're saying They're already saying, look, you're not even elected by the people in the first place. So we will need a prime minister who is elected by the people. And that's something that people are very conscious of their role. Very developed countries, like in Africa, where we may not even bother who is ruling us. But they are conscious. They want to be sure that they participate in choosing the leader who will lead them. And Labour is already saying, you're only chosen by your party. You're not chosen by parliament. So we need to go to the people to make a choice. And people will begin to, some people will be, by the time you begin to see development, if the development is not favoring the British people, you see a revolt. And the election will be in place. So these are some of the things. These are fears that people are already trying to look at and trying to advise. But you see, by the time you see the composition, like somebody said, his policy advisor is the man who crafted Brexit. So when you see, that's how people, you say, show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. You are bringing a man who crafted it, which people did not even understand. And you are saying he's your policy advisor. So it is, the reason why people are angry today is that what they are saying of Brexit was not what they were told.
You mean people were lied to in these stands? Is that what you're saying? Right? That they were lied to?
Saying. People say, well, you just came to us to say, oh, if we leave the European Union, life will be better. Well, you see, one phrase and one catch they used was that Britain will want to retain back their independence, which they think that they've lost to Europe. And that was the phrase. Well, now you're talking of, if you gain independence, how does it translate to your social benefits? This is where the people are now. You know, it's, again, we talk about, with all due respect, we talk about Nigeria. When they talk about change, all that they saw was that we want to leave these people for this. But nobody told us the nitty-gritties of change. And today, some people are angry that it isn't what was told that they are seeing. These are issues, these are persons, these are people are processing things. And that's what Britain is going to go through. Boris Johnson and his people told them, leave Britain, leave the EU, because one, so your laws and your judgments are being overturned or overruled by European courts. And they felt that was an insult on them. They want that whatever judgment the Supreme Court gives should be the finality.
The final.
But you are going to ask yourself a question. If no human being is infallible, if you give a judgment based on your thoughts, and there is another environment that sees it differently from where you are, don't you think it gives a measure of credibility to life? Because everybody in your country is not a nativity of your country. That's some of the things. You know, but when you want to be, again, like even to America, let us, America, great again. You hear the president say, everybody who's not an American, leave. But you have to ask yourself a question. What makes America great? And that's why people are also asking, what makes Britain Britain? It's because of the diversity, you know, that has come to play. So why do we want to disrupt that diversity? Just because you want to see yourself as superior. These are the issues that the new generation of leaders across Europe is bringing up. They are saying, look, we want to take our country back. Back from who and from where? But we won't answer those, people won't answer those questions. You know, because it may not, at the end of the day, you may not be able to explain it. But you're just giving a populist thought that people will buy. You know, and it's all over the world. So Britain is just caught up in the web too. Other countries will follow. Just like we're praying. If someone doesn't happen in Africa, we may not be able to contain it because we don't have the structures, we don't have the facilities to contain it. And that's why we all pray in Africa that God will help us. And somebody said, we pray more in Africa than everywhere in the world. And I said, well, it is only God that we have.
All right, now still on the Brexit issue, because that was the reason why Boris Johnson was given that mandate to become the Prime Minister, to deliver a Brexit, so to speak. But that seems to be what they really want at this particular point in time. Now, you talked about America pocketing Britain. As you know, started already with the dollar getting almost the same strength with the pounds, with what is going on right now.
Yes, you see, like I said, you cannot divorce politics from economy. They go together. But the economy is the engine room for politics to try. Once you don't take that into cognizance, but you are just going with your political thoughts, you're going to hit a brick wall. But again, every leader in the right world wants to be seen as. Those days, they used to say America is the police of the world. And you hear of even Donald Trump telling you, oh, we are the greatest. We are the most powerful. We have the best economy. And so they want to dominate. Power, biggest power. You see, it's like a man who has a bank account. If you keep drawing from the bank account without putting in, it will depreciate. Okay, so there must be a replacement. And America wants that. That's why you find that Donald Trump is telling you that they want to redraw everything. Because he feels that what is happening now is not what he thinks should happen. He thinks that America should dictate. If America goes into an alliance with a nation, they believe that America should have 70% and the other nation 30%. That's Donald Trump's thought. They're not thinking as equals, okay? But that is not how democracy runs. Democracy is an assemblage of thoughts of equal minds with a reasoning. Majority may have the day, but minority have a say with reasoning. So these are the issues. So when you look at a nation, what is the population of Britain? What is the population of America? What's the economic strength of Britain? What's the economic strength of America? So if Donald Trump sees himself as superior and wants to make use of Britain for what he wants to do. But people in Britain will not accept that because Britain is older in existence
than America. Wow.
Most of those who formed America left Britain. so they still have that. The pride is still there.
It's still there.
You know? But when you have a man like Boris Johnson who is of the middle line, he doesn't think too far back. He's looking at what the jet age is.
All right, now before we call it a wrap on this interesting discourse, if there is a crash out of UK from the EU, will it be the beginning of the end of UK the way we know it?
So for some extent, yes, because things cannot be the same in the first place. There's going to be some dislocations. And once you have those dislocations, there's going to be some measure of, because there are going to be job losses and there are going to be repatriation. I use the word repatriation in quotes. Or let me use the word exodus. Or maybe British people from European countries because the conditions under which they live will change. There's going to be exodus of European citizens from Britain because now you're going to have a passport, you're going to be talking of quota, and that's going to be, of course, you're going to affect Africa because you will not have as much of the labor environment that brings influx of people to. So you might even think that this issue of migration will also become a problem, just like you're having in France, like you're having in Germany, that are having in Poland. So it's going to come to Europe, it's going to come to UK. Yeah. So it's going to be a dislocation.
Wow.
And Britain, I might also find that it's going to have a problem with the Commonwealth because they don't have enough resources and strength to be able to manage the Commonwealth as a community.
Wow, thank you so much, Reverend, for your wonderful analysis. We pray you shouldn't get to that where the Commonwealth is affected because we're part of the Commonwealth nation. I don't know how Africa will really feel about this impact. I really appreciate your analysis, sir. Welcome. Thank you so much. Well, you've heard him. It's all about setting an agenda for Boris Johnson, possibility of Brexit in sight, with a huge question mark. He is a hard fighter. He is determined. He is strong-headed to the extent that he was nicknamed Boris Trump. Can he deliver Brexit to the UK? If there's going to be a crash out, who is to gain and who is to lose? Who will be the winning party and who will be the losing party? We are watching. Is there going to be a snap election if all things don't go according to plan by the UK? When they start becoming restive, you know what the citizens of the UK can really do. We'll do it again next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.